The Al-Kateb case. Facts. Al-Kateb was a stateless Palestinian born in Kuwait. He arrived in Australia without a valid visa, so he was put in detention, and his attempts to get a valid visa failed. The problem in this case: the High Court needed to decide whether the Migration Act does permit the executive to detain a person in Mr. Al-Kateb's situation indefinitely, or if the court so finds that the executive is in fact permitted, whether the provision of the act was unconstitutional. You see in your screen are the relevant provisions. Mr. Al-Kateb did this. He asked to be removed from Australia, but unfortunately for him, Australia was unable to find another state to accept him. He had no right to live in Kuwait, and Israel is unwilling to accept him. So now, because he doesn't have a valid visa, and he cannot be deported to any other country, Mr. Al-Kateb is facing detention indefinitely. The High Court's decision. The court was divided in this case. The minority said that the act was silent. That is, it did not expressly state that if the detainee failed to secure a visa or that they cannot be deported, that they can be indefinitely detained. So they refused to interpret it in that way. The majority, however, disagreed. They said the act only permitted release from detention if the detainee either obtains a valid visa or is deported. And because neither applies to Mr. Al-Kateb, the act did purport to authorize his indefinite detention. Further, because the Constitution vests in the executive the right to detain an alien for the purpose of expulsion or detention, the Migration Act is constitutionally valid. And since the purpose of the act is detaining Mr. Al-Kateb was to make him available for expulsion and not punitive, it does not contravene Chapter 3.